Alright, so in this workshop we're going to go through and we're going to discuss working with furniture layouts. Now furniture, so it'll be furniture, finishes, so floor finishes and your lighting are pretty much going to work together. Okay, so this is going to be, I don't know if you've confirmed what plan you're going to use for your furniture layout. So I would strongly recommend that you pick a layout that you can use to convert into a furniture layout. So this layout, so be strategic because this layout's going to be finishes, so floor finishes, it's going to be furniture, and it's going to be your lighting. These are all going to work together. So this is a good example. By the way, you can all access this file and I'll show you where that file is later. So you can come and take this information out. You can see all of these blocks are being set up in such a way that they're very legible. Now typically what we used to do when we do these furniture layouts, we wouldn't spend too much time trying to model this information. So by which I mean, if I go to 3D view, you will notice that this model is pretty clean. It doesn't have a ton load of furniture. The only furniture that we would spend time doing will be when you come to a reception area, for example, and you see there's a lot of information still missing. But you need to decide, sometimes, what are you actually tasked to do? You're just tasked to do a basic furniture layout. This is an interim layout, so just remember it's not going to be 100% final. A lot of the stuff that we do build in will be like stuff that the contractor will need to build in. So in the kitchens, like the worktops in the kitchens, for example, the bathrooms, the urinals. Okay, so this is a good model to come and get good information from. So you'll see the kitchens and that are pretty built out, the bathrooms, okay, but everything else we kind of leave a bit blank because ultimately offices, they get leased out and the arrangements would change so much. So if we're not tasked to do an actual design for the interior, then we don't waste a lot of our time. So if we go back to this plan, you'll notice that all this information is 2D flat information. We do put it on the right category, so it's a 2D bit of information. So if I go and edit the family, so you'll notice in the family, this is just 2D information that's totally flat. Okay, so I just want to wait for this to load. Yeah. So you'll see that this information, there's no 3D information within the family. It's just a flat, there's nothing there in 3D. So basically it's just a bunch of detail line work. Okay, so if you go to annotate, you'll find that this is all symbolic line work. And a lot of this line work I've actually gotten from that AutoCAD file that you all received in second year. So if you've had that file in second year of all the block libraries and that kind of thing, you would have had access to this, all of this information. Okay, so this is the first part of it. So you need to decide, are you going to commit to spending a lot of time using 3D objects? I would use a blend of 2D and 3D. Okay, so I'm just closing the family for the time being. So in essence, for a floor furniture layout, this is kind of what we need to do. You just need to kind of plan out the spaces, so when you do commit to showing where the lighting goes, that your lighting is set up in such a way that it works with the furniture or proposed furniture layout. This is applicable to your floor finishes as well. I'm going to tackle the floor finishes next week. It's part of the series, so for now I want all of you to start building your furniture layouts, getting families, getting blocks, building that information. Okay. So in addition to the 2D information that you can all create, I think you're getting into the swing of creating your own furniture or your detail items. Remember, you're going to use a series of detail items and 3D items. Don't pollute your drawing with too much 3D objects, just because some of you have probably noticed by now, the more complex your model gets, the more it's going to lag, and it depends on your machine. If your machine's not quite up to spec, you'll find that you're going to have a lot of problems with lagging. The model's going to get slower and slower and slower, and it's going to be very frustrating to work with. Okay, so this is a great model to start with. I'll give you access to it. You can come and take out all of this 2D information and use it in your own projects. This is a very quick way, intuitive way to kind of set up your layout. Now, if you want to go the 3D route, I would try and stick to the families that Revit does give you, and I'll talk through some different workflows in a minute where you can go and get additional information. Okay, so if we go to load families, if we use the online version or the online resource, if you go to furniture, they do have a lot of information on the furniture. So you might come right with the information that you're seeing here. Sometimes you've got to combine things together and make them groups, because not a lot of this furniture is grouped together. They are a lot of the information comes separate. There are some joined elements where you've got a table and chairs, so just go and look at what you can find in their browser system already. Okay, just bear in mind, you'll notice that my furniture is grayed out. It is very thin and should read as a secondary element, not as a primary element, because this is part of finishes. All this information that we're doing now, it's just merely to inform your design. It's not set in stone yet. You're not the interior designer. If you're finding the interior part of this quite enjoyable, by all means, you can go to town. But just remember, this is a bit of a balancing act, and it's something that you will learn in time. But for now, if you are battling with the 3D part of it, just commit to making things 2D, making them flat, because ultimately all that you need to produce is a 2D object. Now, one thing to bear in mind, when we're starting to get to sections, you'll find that if you're putting these families in the correct category, so you'll notice, I just want to let me just go to one of my sections in the project quickly. I'll just go to section A. Typically, we don't show too much furniture in our sections. We're showing the core information. If we are going to show something, the category of a furniture item will never cut. So if you're putting furniture in your model, you don't want to cut through a whole bunch of desks. So if you are going to make furniture yourself, make sure that it's in the correct category, furniture or furniture systems. Okay, and just make sure that it's set not to cut. So I'm just going to find a furniture item. I'm just going to load one for you, just to demonstrate why you have to use the right category. So if I go to furniture, I'm just going to open up let's just get a chair, for example, a good office chair, and let's bring that in. I'm going to load this family, and then I'm just going to quickly open it. Okay, so I'm just going to go to floor plan, go back to my floor plan. I'm now just simply going to load the family in component. Okay, with this office chair, you'll see it will look great, but remember, if I go and say edit family, and we always gray these items out, and I'll explain that in a second, you will see that by default this is always switched off, cut with voids, enable cutting in view. You can switch it on, but typically this must be off, because you never want to cut the stuff. So if you're cutting a long section through your building, if it cuts through all the furniture items, it doesn't read correctly. So these items never really cut. So when you do cut through a section 3 building, you've used 3D elements, make sure that the cut is not enabled. Very important. Okay, the only thing that you'll probably cut through is if you're building a reception desk like we did, so on the floor below. So if I went to ground floor, so on our ground floor, this information we might want to cut through, because this will be something that will be built in, and this will drive this foyer and this reception and the lobby. So this information might be there right from the beginning, and this is probably going to be built in. So that's something to consider. Stuff that will be built in, that's permanent or be a fixture for the life of the building, we'll commit to making sections through that. But the rest of this information, it's just merely to inform the design. Okay, so this is a good example set of drawings to show you how this should look with services. Okay, so this is quite a neat basic drawing. This is the level of detail that you should be achieving now by the end of the year. Okay, so this is a great example to look at. So commit to cutting through things that are going to be more of a permanent or mainstay of the building. Okay, all right, so I just want to go back to the first floor. So you can use 3D objects. Okay, so that's great, especially if you're going to commit to doing floor finishes, where you're going to put floor finishes where these items got to sit above. So just be careful, 2D items won't necessarily sit above the floor finishes and vice versa. Okay, so I just want to open up an example set of drawings as well, and just kind of show you, this was an interior project that was done probably 2 years ago, and how effective this was communicated. So this is something that I just want to communicate to you, because the interior design students focus more on the furniture layouts, and I think they do it pretty well. So I just want to show you where this example is, just so that you've got something else to work with as well. Okay, I'm just going to go to support. I'm just going to find a file. You'll see it in my display now. I might have to go to the archive section. So support, which was the archive. You can access this, by the way. So I'm going to go to files. I'm just going to go to examples quickly. Okay, so it was Robin Fareed. So this was a great set of interior focused set of drawings. Okay, so the interior students spent a lot more time focusing on how the furniture works and how the finishes work, and you can see this is a good example. It's a good set of drawings. This is an excellent set of drawings in my opinion. How the furniture plan should read. So you can see how neat these drawings are, and this was all done in Revit. So look how nice and neat all the furniture layout was set up. Okay, so this is a typical furniture layout and how much detail you're going to go into if you are going to commit to doing it as an interior design. Okay, so this is just, you don't have to show as much information as this, but I think this is just a good drawing to illustrate how it should communicate. Okay, how you set up your furniture schedules, how they look. You can put them on different sheets, and then how she incorporated the finishes. She did do a lot of renders. Remember, this is an interior student, so they're very focused on the interior, and you can see in the sections how it reads. So you're not cutting through anything, you're only seeing things in the distance. Okay, if for those of you that would like to commit to a bit more color, we are going to allow that this year. Just remember, it might cost more to print, and you can see the drawings still read well, but just remember, if you are going to cut through things, we still need to see that hierarchy. So just, if you are going to commit to color, just do it in such a way that it's very legible. This is a floor finishes plan as well. Okay, so the furniture that is built in and as part of the design, you'll see will be included in the finishes design. The rest of the furniture is then hidden or switched off. Okay, so it's a separate plan. Okay, so this is a great set of drawings for what we're going to be tackling for the next couple of weeks. So it'll be your furniture layout. Okay, so this is a furniture layout with all the services, how this reads, all the information you need to show. The next part of the drawings will be the legends that are required, and then we're going to focus on the finishes. Okay, and you can see wall finishes. She's even indicated the wall finishes, so she's shown some line work, but I think for yourselves you're just focusing on the floor finishes. Don't worry about the wall finishes. It's something that we do illustrate and show as well. Okay, so that's why she's shown these dark lines against the wall, and then she's got a legend to kind of indicate what the finish on the wall will be. And then finally the electrical layouts. So this is a combination of ceiling and electrical. I would propose that you try and use this workflow. We have a combination of ceiling and electrical. I know that there's going to be plug points with the furniture, but it's something that you'll need to discuss with us, and then we'll give you some guidance with regards to, so don't do unnecessary work. You just need to convey the necessary information. Okay, so that is tricky in the beginning, but please look at these example set of drawings. I think they do illustrate and communicate how these drawings should be done, how they look. Okay, so this is an excellent set of drawings. I think this is really top-notch work. So I would definitely grab this and use it as your example. Okay, just to give you an update, where if we go to BIM library, if you want to get this office block that I've opened, if you go to library, okay, so if you go to Revit, and you'll see that there'll be project examples or projects. So within this, sorry, that's the Revit for Bouwkunde examples. It's part of the Cato Norcom, so it'll be part of Cato. This Cato project, you'll see there's quite a few buildings in here. Focus on the office building, so Cato Civil's office. You can open that one, or you can go to South Zambezi HQ, which you can open as well. So these models are quite complete. If we go to 3D view, I'm just going to switch off my section box. You'll see that they're very complete. Okay, so these models we've spent a lot of time to get these models to be quite accurate. Okay, and you'll see that the materials are read nicely. Okay, even in realistic mode, we spent a lot of time on these drawings, so it's a good set of example drawings for yourselves. I think this is a great set of drawings. It's pretty basic. It wasn't taken further. It was done to a proposal stage and then complicated. The project was canned, so yeah, you can see the drawings are very complete. It's got a lot of information in here. So I would use these drawings to take information that's required. Okay, it's even got a basement on how we tackle a basement. So for you, I think, and how we vent the basement. So this is a good set of drawings to kind of give you guys this final bit of information, or the final push that you need to do now for the rest of the year. Okay, so we're going to be focusing on, for the rest of this quarter, we're going to be focusing on your finishes, your furniture, and your lighting part of this project. Okay, and then we might have to do an interior, so we might have to do some ablution layouts, which I don't think have been done. I think they have been done, but they weren't done fully for this project. I have another example I can give you, but you're going to have to do some ablution layouts in that as well. Okay, so this had been started, long story, okay, or we do kitchen layouts, totally up to you. Okay, so a lot of this information, it's very basic in this model, but I think it's enough for you to start your projects. Take what you need from here and see how it was done. Okay. Now, if you are going to use another resource, I just want to quickly show you, is a lot of you might be getting furniture from BIM objects, for example. So BIM objects. Now, I just want to warn all of you, every year it's the same story. A lot of the furniture that they have built in this resource, some of it's good, some of it is pretty poor. Okay, so if you're going to get these objects, for example, sometimes they're modeled really well, sometimes they're not modeled well at all. Okay, so I would use this information, just be very careful. A lot of them are too intensive, there's too much information in the models, and it will slow your models down significantly. So I would just be very careful using this information. Okay, so just, yeah, be very careful. However, you can also use 3D warehouse, okay, and I'm just going to try and see if I still got access to my format online. So format, because I just want to show you this workshop, format web, because I believe that the format web option is still available and still running. So as you can see, this will run. I will see if this will work with my online version. You'll see that you've lost the pro information. So this will still work, but I just want to demonstrate, if you are going to use 3D families from other resources, I just want to quickly show you a quick workflow and how you can pull in furniture from an external resource. Okay, you can see 3D warehouse has actually upped their game quite a bit. You can now go and discover new categories like appliances. So if you're going to use appliances in your model, I might consider looking at the information that they have available online. Okay, so like this wine cooler, for example. So what you can do is you can download these objects. You can download them as SketchUp files. I'm going to put it on my desktop for now. I'm going to save it on my desktop. Okay, and you see they're quite small. Now you can go and open these objects using Format Online. I haven't used the online version for a while, so just bear with me. It's going to take a import locally. They might have removed the SKP import, which they have. They have indeed. Yeah. Okay, so looks like this workflow is pretty broken. Okay, so typically what we used to do is the pro version. If you got the pro version, you can simply load it in. There is a workaround, so maybe let me just show you that quickly, because I'm having to teach the first year's Blender this year because SketchUp's no longer free to use the pro version. So we're going to teach all of you Blender, and I'm just going to show you how quick this works. I'm just going to quickly import. I'm just going to make it a collada file and then take it to format, or we could just simply export it from here as an OBJ, and I'll show you how that looks. So I'm going to import the SketchUp file very quickly. Blender's got you just have to get a plugin to make this work. And if you want to do this, I'll show you how to do it. It's very easy. What I do like about Blender is that the objects that we do bring in, ooh, I think this file is empty. Okay, so I think they're doing something to these files now. Let me just try one last time. Let's go online, so what you can also do is get collada files, by the way, so you can get different versions. So let me just go to download again. Looks like it's an SKP file. Configure, and let's just see if we can try and get this in another format. Okay, some models you'll be able to get in different formats. Some will just be, okay, let me just see why it should bring it in. Blender's usually pretty good at doing this. No, I didn't bring it in. Okay, that's interesting. So file, import. Let me just try this again. SKP. Okay, and let's just try again. I think they're getting very clever with their objects. Okay, let me just try a different. I see it gave an error at the bottom here. What was the error about? That is interesting. So there might be something in that file that it doesn't like. Okay, I think they're getting very strict with their... I just want to find another model and see if we can try another model. Tables. I'm just going to pick this table, for example. I'm going to download this. So let's just see if I can download this one. Save this on my desktop. Let's just try that model and see if that'll come in. Okay, so SKP, let's bring in the table, conference table, import SketchUp. Yeah, that worked. Okay, good. So just see some furniture will be great, some won't. Okay, so you'll see this is coming quite nicely. All you've got to do with these objects though, in format you wouldn't have this issue, but you've just got to remember, I'm going to export this again as an OBJ file, file, export. I'm going to export this as an OBJ, and I just want to show you how you can use this information in Revit, for example. So OBJs is the preferred format. I'll put this on my desktop as well. The only trick you got to remember is it's going to be Z. So the forward axis will be -Y, and the up axis will be Z. That's the only thing you got to remember. And I only want to select I only want to export the select objects. I don't want to export any additional information, so I'm going to say export now. It's going to be an untitled object, which is fine. Okay, in Revit, I'm going to go to File. I'm going to go to New Family. Remember, it has to be a furniture family, so make sure that you select Furniture. If you want to utilize the open, and I'll go back to Furniture, first floor in a second, and I'll show you how that works. All you're going to do now is you have to import CAD, so you must import CAD, don't link CAD in this instance, because this will be embedded in the family the whole time, and this will be an OBJ. Okay, OBJ files, in my opinion, work really well because they're not going to pollute your Revit file with unnecessary information. And you can see here, you can import this as the correct category. You're going to use everything as the same. You're going to simply import. Now this is the trick. Typically this is going to be a meters. If it's coming from Blender, you will notice that the information, so if I shade this now, or I show it in 2D, just remember in hidden lines, you'll see that it does a really good job to give you some basic information. So I haven't done much here. If I go and measure, I just want to check if this thing's, what size this is roughly, just to make sure. Yeah, so this is great. So this is a nice big table. Now I can simply load this into my project, overriding version. So basically, if I go to first floor, I might have overridden a whole bunch of tables there, but that's fine. So if I go to architecture and I say component, okay, I might just have to give it a good name. I think that was my problem. So let me just, it's family 1 by the way. So just give these a name so that if you are going to manage this, it's family 1. So I'm going to bring this in, and you see this comes in pretty seamlessly into Revit. No issues at all. Okay. The only trick is if you are going to use families in these categories, you'll need to go to VG and everything and object styles. For the view, I would override your furniture. So just for the view, this is driven by a view template. So just be careful of that. I'm just going to unswitch that for now because it won't give me control. I'll discuss that in a later video on how to use that. But the only thing you just got to remember, if you're going to use furniture in these views, just override. I would override the line work to be gray. So line weight 1 or 2 is fine. So line weight 2 will be fine. Make sure that everything is grayed out. Press OK. Press OK. remember this won't cut, so no projections. You can change the patterns, press apply, press OK. Now you can see it's nicely shaded out. Okay. If you're good at modeling in Blender, you can go and actually fix a lot more stuff to make this a bit more seamless in your model. But you can see in these models you can use, and what's great in Revit is these models are super light. So that it's actually a dumb model in the sense that it just shows you, it just represents the information correctly, but it's a very dumb model. And you see if I move it around, it doesn't lag at all. Okay, and if I go to 3D view, it'll look fine in your model. Okay, even the glass materials come through nicely. So you can see using these models, it's intuitive. They don't come full of all these other rubbish lines. Okay, so this is a great workflow to get used to. I'll be doing a lot more of these videos for the first years on how to use Blender, but I just thought this is a useful exercise to show you if you want to use 3D warehouse information. Okay, because the model's dumb, doesn't clog your Revit model full of unnecessary information. Okay, so in essence this is just a mesh. It'll just represent correctly, but in theory there's no data, so it'll keep your models alive. So this is a great workflow to start adopting for these types of objects. Furniture which has no, you're not using BIM information for furniture, it's merely an object to illustrate a furniture piece. Okay, so